And welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and thank you for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. Robin Williams passed away just over 6 years ago, and his death absolutely had an effect on all of us, anyone who's ever seen his incredible performances or just his comedic brilliance. But a new documentary entitled Robin's Wish is out on September 1st that aims to shed some light on his final days, and we're joined by two people directly involved with the film. First off, to introduce equally, we have the director and co-writer, Tylor Norwood, and a comedian, actor, and friend of Robin Williams, we have Rick Overton. Rick, hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I have so many questions to ask both of you, about this film and about your lives in general. But Tylor, I wanted to start with you. Can you tell us, just to sum up, why it is you wanted to make this film?
So for me, when I got a call from Robin's widow, Susan, saying, "Hey, do you want to make a film about Lewy Body Dementia?" And I said, "No." And she said, well, it's really important to what me and Robin went through in the last year and a half of our lives. And I said, okay, well, can you tell me some of those stories? Because I don't know anything about that. As a Robin Williams fan, I'd never heard of this disease, especially never heard of it associated with him. And once she told me the stories of what they went through with this disease in the last year and a half of his life, I said, if that's the movie you're willing to make, if you're willing to go there, I'm all in. And that was the path that started us on a 3.5-year journey. That now culminates in 17 people who knew Robin really well, from big directors like Sean Levy from the Night at the Museum series to his best friends like Rick and some of his other comedian friends, and the idea that they all stepped up and they all wanted to tell this story of what they saw because it didn't really get reported. And I think it foundationally changes the way you understand Robin Williams's life.
Well, in talking about what this is, and I'll admit I was unfamiliar with what this is either. When you talk about what the issue was when it comes to what he was diagnosed with. Rick, maybe you could just walk us through. I've got some questions for you, but could you tell us a little bit more about what it actually is that he was diagnosed with?
It's a form of Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, and but with emphasis on the dementia and a body dementia where there is loss of acuity and function, and it's a loss of everything that made Robin Robin. It took away the facility of the mind, and it takes it in layers. And he was a mighty spirit that he could fight like that through all of these adversities, compiling and exponentializing and weighing down on him like Sisyphus. And he almost pushed that rock over the edge of the hill. He was so strong in character and will and in mind and in his heart. These strengths kept him alive when it was taking everything away.
You talk about, this film is about a lot of friends who knew Robin. They're certainly involved in this. And Rick, you knowing Robin for decades, I don't know if maybe you could share with us one of your first impressions or memories of performing with Robin.
The first time you are like a motorcycle getting behind a tractor trailer and you're just letting the suction draft pull you along. You're in the current there somewhere. And then as time goes on and we get to know each other better, we start to see where there's the rhythm and the back and the forth. And, you're measured by how well you keep up with him, not how well you get ahead of him.
Well, talking about this movie, and you knowing Robin that long, and this documentary in general, during the making of this, was there anything that you learned through this film that you didn't know beforehand?
Oh, yeah. Lots of details about what he was experiencing and the technical reasons for it. All of it shows that he went up against something that almost nobody could possibly have lasted that long to have gone up against. He's an extraordinary person. He fought against impossible odds, and he held impossibility in his hands all the time while still going on.
And one of the things with Robin Williams is just, how much joy he gave to so many people. We all knew that side of him. But Tylor, for you, for making this film, can you tell us a little bit about what kind of clarity and answers this movie can give to the rest of us who didn't understand that, private side of his life?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of people associate Robin Williams as a comedian, right? He was also an incredible actor. Comedian, right? He was this funny guy and he could do these other things, but we all want to stay with the laughs and the joy that he brought us. And so in talking to the people in the comedian community, there is a little bit of a stereotype that goes out there, which sometimes can be applied incorrectly, which is this idea of a sad clown, right? Like the idea of somebody who can make you laugh and bring you to such joy, but when they're off stage, when they're in their own time, that they're just dark and sort of beleaguered and worried, this idea of depression and that he couldn't take it anymore. A lot of these narratives that were out there about Robin, that, without Lewy body dementia, without understanding that this was a neurological disease that's incurable, absolutely ends in death, and, was really affecting him at the end of his life. His autopsy report, doctors looking at it, they were amazed he could even walk, right? Let alone speak, let alone do anything else. The idea that essentially he had the mind of a child, right? Because he'd been so worn away. But the idea that this film, I think, brings forward, in addition to those facts, is the idea that the heart of Robin Williams, the thing that we all really connected to on stage, in movies, whether they were comedic or not, was that heart, the heart of this guy, and how it comes through and stayed with him right up until the end. That he was still generous, still kind, never got bitter, never got sad, even though he never got a diagnosis in his lifetime, which is an incredible thing, that he never got to know what this thing was. Wow. It was only upon dying. And that's one of the reasons I think it got underreported and that this film is so necessary, is that this is a story that fans almost didn't really get access to until now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I had no idea about this, until I found out that you were making this film. That is so very important for all of us. Rick, going back to you and going back to your performances with Robin, like, what would you say is, for you performing with him that many years, what's one comedic lesson or tip or piece that you took away from performing with him that maybe you used in your performances?
Don't trust your brain ahead of your gut. Your brain is digital recording. That's all it does, is it remembers the moment your gut came up with a split second before. It doesn't know how, it's not its fault. It doesn't know how to do anything else. It's a recorder. But it's your gut that got you there first. Your gut is brilliant. Robin's gut was a genius and cooperated very well with his genius mind, but it was his tummy that took him there. And if you're studying improv, you'll find it's your gut that gets you everywhere first. And so close to your heart, that those two should always work together through all of this. Always listen to your heart. It's smarter than the other two.
Great advice. I want to ask more about this film too, but Rick, I have to ask you, since we have you here, there's a lot of talk about sequels or movies being remade, and Willow in particular, there's been a lot of rumors about a sequel and maybe Ron Howard being involved, but I want to ask you, is your role in Willow something that you would ever want to revisit?
Well, it'd be fun to see what happened to those two guys after, the story continues on. It's always, we like revisiting characters in films. Who knows? I ran into Kevin Pollak at Whole Foods, and he said he heard about it, and he left a message with Ron's office. And so, everything's a little bit on hold right now, but if it picks up, that would be something to do. Use that Mandalorian screen stuff, to shoot everything. The way they're doing these days, there's ways to pick production right back up again.
Great. Well, I want to remind everybody, too, that Robin's Wish is out on September 1st on demand and digital. But before we close out, Tylor, I just wanted to maybe ask you, what would you like people to walk away with after watching this film?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So for me, the thing that I think this film does so well is it unpacks any of that weight, any of that confusion, any of that sort of sense of who was he really? You walk out of this film, hopefully, with this renewed sense of not only was Robin Williams amazing, but Robin, the guy behind all that work, was even better.
Oh, that's a great way something to take away from this. One final question too that I had here was just, for everybody who's like me, who's obviously watched the documentary to learn about this form of dementia, but where would you direct people to learn more if they want to go right now to find out about it and what maybe some of the symptoms are for Lewy body dementia?
What I would say is go to our website. We have incredible partners. So 50,000 neurologists signed off on the science in this film. And they're represented by the Michael J. Fox Foundation, the Parkinson's Foundation, the Lewy Body Dementia Association, the American Brain Foundation. Kind of the list goes on. But if you go to our website, robinswish.com, there's tons of links.
That's fantastic. So go there, check that out, watch the film. It is going to be out September 1st, so everybody can go take a look at Robin's Wish. And Tylor, Rick, I want to say thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for shedding light on this and, and ultimately celebrating the life of Robin Williams, which was brilliant and wonderful to all of us in so many ways. Thank you for being here with us on Digital Trends Live.
Thank you.
Totally our pleasure.
My pleasure.